Hello, welcome everybody to for those of you who will be watching this video, these lessons. I just simply address you good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. First, let me start off by introducing myself. My name is Michael. I'm a Floresian. I'm Indonesian. I come from the island of Flores in the eastern half of Indonesia, and what I'm doing this is in the package of using my free time to improve my English, but also to use YouTube space to express myself academically. Or um, YouTube is a good place for freedom of expressions responsibly, uh, with certainly with a certain degree of responsibility. And secondly, I would like to say welcome to Flo Morata's English. Flo Morata's English is a community which I established a year ago. The age of this community even is not yet fully a year. This community is established to encourage or empower young people from Eastern Tenggara province to continue learn English. Do not give up in your journey of improving or honing your English language, so then you, in the end, have the capacity or ability to grab the international opportunities to pursue your study abroad. As I have witnessed many Indonesians from other islands pursuing their study here in Europe uh, through Indonesian national scholarship fundings. So I first and foremost, this is my way of also improving my English as well through this simple exercise of giving a small class or lecture in English about topics that is concerning the Eastern Tenggara province. So one more time, welcome to this class. So we will be discussing about the topic of stereotypes. We will be learning the definitions and complexities in the discourse of stereotype itself and why stereotype is problematic. For those of you having the large amount of stereotypical knowledge towards more than one or two, three members or groups, and you often apply just stereotypical knowledge into them and then further it down to aspects like reflected in your actions throughout those groups or policies or regulations. This is perhaps uh, the starting point. You can get in touch with Flowmart's English to know why having a stereotypical knowledge is problematic. So here you go. This is the logo of Flowmart's English. Flowmart's English also has the the e-newspaper, which was publishing two editions, and then there's a long hiatus in the middle until now. I have not I've not uh, encouraged to continue for the third editions. Hopefully, in the coming future, I can start this off again. So this is from Flowmart's English. I would like to begin this lecture. Let's say the lecture sounds like professional, while myself I'm not a lecturer. This simple class in which I exercise my English ability, because I only started to learn English quite recently from a very beginner level, and up to this point, I'm quite happy to say this out all in English. So the starting point of this lecture is that I think a year ago I watched one of the videos on YouTube, and I ran into this video. And Vice is a YouTube channel. This community produced plenty of interesting videos and wonderful videos and eye-opening and gut-wrenching videos. And I ran into one of the videos about Indonesia. The title of the video is "Meet the Infamous Debt Collectors of Indonesia." And what is touching is that this video recorded those working as debt collectors in the capital city of the Republic of Indonesia, Jakarta, are those people from the Eastern Indonesia. I don't know exactly they are from which island, but they are Indonesian Easterners. I've watched these videos, and I was quite happy that Vice could document or record this video and to show this to the wider public to know the situations of the so-called debt collectors in Indonesia. And so I was watching this, I was touched because these people are my people. So we are from the same region, or with regional affinities that I can associate with while watching these videos. So I am not going to describe in detail or I'm not going to give an exhaustive elaboration on what they are doing specifically and what kind of debt collected is that, and which party has lended money to the borrowers, uh, and the amount of money, and these people, their names, uh, their starting point until that point they get into this risky job. I'm not going to describe all of this, but there's there's one quote or one remark made by the interview of the Vice crew, those who produced this video, and then the interviewer who herself is also in this video, and he interviewed those involved, and it's very good that he has the courage and also the energy and opportunity to be part of this this uh, life fact, or this piece of society in Indonesia. And he also went to the interviewing banks and lawyers, and also those who are borrowing the money, and then those debt collectors community or society. They also have their organization with activities they are doing to shore up their role as debt collectors. So to be clear, at the very beginning, that I'm not going to describe in detail about what they are doing, but there's one remark um I'm very sorry that I didn't put the remark. I didn't put the remark here. But you can watch the quote, the remark made by the interviewer who made one of the crew members who made this video in my another video, which I discussed in Indonesia, in Bahasa Indonesia. So perhaps I still remember the quote. So they may seem like a tough guy, but in some ways they are victims too. They are the victims of a society that marginalizes Eastern Indonesia, Eastern Indonesians. And the banks which do not have problem with this, employ these stereotypes and recruit them to be in this job to collect money from those who borrow money from them. So there's one remark which the interview mentioned, the word stereotype and marginalizations, which already echoes directly in my head. It is unfortunate that I didn't have the quote here. My previous PowerPoints, I had this quote and it's just gone. I don't know why. It is quite disappointing. So let's continue. We will be reflecting on this at the end of this lessons, while I will be giving you the discourse landscape on what we can understand and be concerned about stereotype itself. So talking about East Indonesia, the societal pictures that emerge or come first in our um, um, or talking about East Indonesia, these are the problems which I can mention for you. East Indonesia society in the eastern half of Indonesia still have the societal problems, which I can say that uh, these three are perhaps the dominant societal problems that is which uh, are facing the people in East Indonesia. First is corruptions in politics. If you look at the uh, corruptions index of Indonesia, uh, provinces in East Indonesia they are still uh, on the top 5 list as the most corrupt province. And poverty, um, still many people in East Indonesia living under the poverty line. Uh, General citizens are struggling to meet their basic needs, while these situations does not uh, go equally well with the commitment in politics to improve the lives of the citizens. And education, access to education is still very limited, and also the quality of education is still of also concern. And I can say here that looking at the context that not all young people are going to universities, because universities are so expensive, and uh, some ended up high school and they um, uh, cannot continue into universities. So poverty, corruptions, and lack of education, these are three items of societal problems which I can tell you about uh, um, the issues that which are still facing Eastern Indonesia. And my tone of reflections will be particularly focusing on East Tenggara province, the province where I'm from. I was born on the island of Flores. Flores is one of the islands which form up the province which is called the Eastern Tenggara province. So I was hinting at education as one of still also one of the challenge that not all young people going to the universities or college due to um, um, young people from poor family, their parents cannot afford them to universities, and the governments uh, in East Indonesia is also still colored with a never-ending practice of corruptions in politics. And I am so one of the Dutch uh, professor of law and society in Indonesia at the Van Vollenhoven Institute for Law, Governance, Society. Um, One of the project from Van Vollenhoven Institute was that to also educate the legal practitioners and lawyers in East Indonesia to pass on legal knowledge and education to the wider public, to the people, so that they also know their legal rights, and then in the end they can also stand up to to say out the legal rights to the government, which is sometimes um, betraying uh, their initial duty to protect or to fulfill basic needs of the citizens. And Adrian Bednar said in one of the videos, reflects my critique somewhere else. I Adrian Bednar said that legal education is also important to start with, so then the citizens can understand their legal rights in their city and society. And he goes on further saying that the problem of rule of law starts with the legal educations. So if politicians and also those who are holding important positions in society and the citizens, if they are well informed in terms of their legal rights and legal knowledge, they can somehow have certain effort to pursue their legal rights, which might have been violated or which are already violated. And I was thinking that one of the problem that or somehow lack of access to education is not given to all, and lack of good educations or high quality educations complicit in creating a society that is not able to raise questions on social justice or on inequalities. So in my view, that education is very important to educate people to have critical stance on society, meaning that they have the ability to raise critical questions on social justice and inequalities. And this is my critic somewhere else. And listening to Adrian Bednar, uh, uh, which from this institute he belongs to, already did already gave concrete solutions by educating lawyers and legal lecturers in Indonesia to have to spread knowledge. They are trying to spread also knowledge to the citizens on their on rule of laws and uh, citizens' legal rights. There's also one of the articles I read. This is the first opening sentences in their article said, the main problem of human development in Indonesia lies entirely in the differential treatment of development, which results in a development gap between the western region of Indonesia and the eastern region of Indonesia. And the Indonesian Constitution's 1945 Constitution's Article 31 guarantees the citizens have legal rights, or a right at least, to an adequate education. And this is basic rights, basic rights of life of citizens to have good educations. And the law number 20, uh, the year 2003, concerning the national education system, saying that basic educations for the Indonesian citizens is up to 15 years. However, I think that there are still many young people who want to continue their study at the university level or college level, but they are still but not all are entering universities due to the economic limitations of their parents, which I think the government has the responsibility to easen the path to that. Um, Talking about regional development in Indonesia, while Abdul Rahman et al. Says that the main problem of human development in Indonesia lies entirely in the differential treatment of development between regions, eastern part and the western part. Um, I think this also somehow um, creating uh, the, um, the the gap in regional development. There are part of Indonesia which are prosperous uh, and living high quality of life, while there are parts of Indonesia which are not. One might challenge by saying that the current government has already done quite significantly in closing this gap by also focusing on development outside the island of Java. Uh, for instance, the island of Flores, Timor, and other islands in Indonesia, Eastern Indonesia. And current government, with their infrastructure project, expanding the infrastructure development outside the main outside the island, where the capital city of Indonesia, uh, uh, the, outside the island of Java. And talking about capital city now, we are having a new one. It's not yet finished, but my concern is that, to me, in my opinion, in my opinion, um, equal development, equal regional development should not depend on who is the president. It should appears as the first principle of the first constitutional principle, and whoever is whoever is the president of the Republic of Indonesia, they are not shouldn't be the one determines uh, that that we have got to make change in closing the gap of regional development. In my opinion, it in a society, in a state, taking care of all territories in a state, uh, um, as huge as like Indonesia is a huge country. Taking care of regional developments across regions and territories in a state should be the first or basic principle of um, of state constitutions, in which the president is an executive. Elites uphold these constitutions, um, should take this as the first inspirations. So regardless of who is the president, and I would like to comment that it should have been since for the first president, this development, an equal development of the country is executed. So yes, of course, the current government with um, stark controversies in their commitment to uphold the constitutions and rule of law. Apart from this, current government has already done a lot in their infrastructure project expansionism outside the island of Java. Yet I still think that all of this is not primarily the charge of the current president, but this is first and foremost the duty of a state to have. We hope they um, must have done that since the establishment of the state. So we are quite late in we are quite late in um, fulfilling um, our ideals uh, to 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 make great Indonesia all equally uh, taken care of. Let's go back to the video I was talking about. So one of the interviewer, the interview of that videos said that um, those people working as debt collectors, they are mainly from Eastern Indonesia. They may seem like a bunch of tough guys with tattoos, uh, uh, um, with seeing them based on their physical appearance, and then they are coming from the regions which are still facing huge societal burdens or issues that burden the society, burden the people, corruption, politics, poverty, and unemployment. That's I forget to mention, and uh, lack of education, access to educations, higher educations is limited, and so they came to the main city of Indonesia on the island of Java, and then perhaps the banks um, see these people, they are good at by seeing them say, oh, they are good at working in the field or domain of securing the security, and also in the domain of for instance violence or threatening people. And the one of the interviews of from Vice, who which produced this video, saying that um, um, this is a stereotypical views given towards certain people or certain group members of certain ethnic group or society segment, and um, banks who employ these stereotypes do not have problems at all, do not do not think much that this is actually problematic. And I myself from East Indonesia, I'm thinking to elaborate on the concepts of stereotype itself. um, so the starting point is the video, which I think it's good that the my prospective listeners also watch this video. um, I, I give you the conceptual category of what stereotype is. The question is there a conception on stereotypes at all? Um, is there any clear definitions of what stereotype is? For instance, if banks who employ those people from East Indonesia to work as debt collectors, having stereotypical views of these people from this region with this physical appearance, this with this look, and they're coming from these regions with this with a lot of social problems, they can be easily they can be easily hired to work uh, in this risky job. And there's a good at violence, for instance. This is my assumption on stereotypical views that might have been employed by the banks, those who employ this my fellow East Indonesians to work as debt collectors. And in tandem with that is that East Indonesian, in the eyes of those uh, from the island of Java, they I mean there are many things to say about East Indonesia, of course, certainly, but um, it is not wrong to say that there's already an embedded stereotypical knowledge portrayed towards people from Indonesia, for instance. They might be associated with riots, violence, creating chaos. Yeah. Um, but this knowledge exists. This knowledge productions that is produced through interactions, communications, this exists. And as someone from East Indonesia, I try to bring the topic of stereotype to perhaps sharpen this existing stereotypical knowledge, or lighten it up, so then we can think at the end actually it's very morally problematic to have stereotypical knowledge in society. So stereotype is in the book by Puddifoot, how stereotypes deceive us. Stereotype is defined or conceptualized as a social attitude that associates members of some groups more strongly than other with certain traits. Let's say, for instance, there are more than 5 group members, and commingling together in a society, in a certain territory, or in a state, in a country, and certain group and one of the group members associate the other members of the other group more strongly with certain characteristics or certain traits. Let's say you associate, let's say associating the East Indonesians, those coming from East Indonesia, with characteristic like violence, um, um, with um, threatening looking face, dark skin, and good at working in security domain. If you associate if you associate members or people from East Indonesia with this character or these traits very strongly, then you are committing a stereotypical social attitude. A stereotypical social attitude. We will be unearthing, or we will be discussing together, um, discovering that actually having a stereotypical knowledge is morally problematic. So if you associate members of a certain group more strongly with certain characteristic or traits than the rest of the group members in a country or state, then you are having a stereotypic. Then you are having a social attitude with the tone of stereotyping them. And having stereotypical knowledge or to stereotype others it has the starting point in things which is quite implicit. Sometimes we are not aware of the established beliefs in our head, that is formed through the experience, for instance, or information that is circulating in a society, and and stereotype is also a psychological state. This is what is processed in our cognitions, that is working first in the house of head, and it is projected out through leading individuals into stereotype others. So what is in our head, what is working uh, in silence in our beliefs, in our uh, prejudice, and our hidden views towards others. It comes with what is in the head, and that lead individuals to be stereotypical in viewing others. So those who are stereotyped, they are de-stereotyped, while those who stereotype others, they are stereotyping agents, or stereotyping actors. What is remarkable in this book? What is remarkable in this book is that Puddifoot argues that through stereotyping others, or you have this customs or habit, now always stereotyping others with certain traits. Basically, what you are doing is just predicting the unoriginality that is in those who use stereotype. It's predicting an unoriginality. You don't know about their originality. People with richness of experience, talents, abilities, and positives, characters, and etc. And you collect them collect them all in one project of portraying them in one character trait. That is in Puddifoot views, you are just being predictive. You are predicting their unoriginality. So I would like to, this it is very intriguing, and also this is to me this really an eye-opening. So I would like to take this as my further explorations, predicting an originality. In the book by Walter Lippmann, Public Opinion, we discovered more on an act of stereotyping others is actually an act of predicting an unoriginality that we portray on others. We are not being so authentic in our views. We are being inaccurate. So Walter Lippmann, he defined stereotype as, oh, I'm actually very tired now. So Walter Lippmann said that stereotypes are projections upon the world of our own sense of our own value, our own position, and our own rights. We project to the world, but the departure is our own. Our own. We are proud of our own values. We are proud of ourselves. We are proud of our what we have, and then we view others um, with the start of our own. We project upon the world and the people our own sense. This is, um, if we sense this, actually, it is an expression of power. There is certain positions we are trying to retain there, and then uh, bring other whole of society view those we stereotype in a different level of societal position. Normative view saying that stereotype is inaccurate. It has a distorting influence on cognitions. And why is that? Because um, we make vast array of informations become manageable into one category. So you stereotype others with certain traits or characteristic, while in those people you stereotype, they have countless of experience, life histories, qualities, knowledge, and abilities and talents. You don't know very well those people, but then you summarize them into one category. And this is what Walter Lippmann says, distorting in cognitions. Um, so it is inaccurate because it is oversimplified. Because you just simplify the vast array of informations about a members of a certain group, or a group or a group, or an ethnic group, into one category only through your stereotyping attitude. And this is, Littman said, not responsive to other evidence as well. For instance, to make it more precise, say that no, not all East Indonesians are not. East Indonesians are not the one who are put at securing the security in shops or in banks or in there are also those people who are also having other talents as well. They are good, for instance, singing. They are good at painting. They are also good in academia, for instance. Or there might be also those who are potential to be the country leader, the president, for instance. So, not responsive to other evidence. Uh, uh, if you are stereotyping others and you are doing this on regular basis, actually, you should be aware that there's a distorting. You are just being inaccurate, or there's a distorting cognitions that you should renovate, or at least change. And as I hinted at already just now, that through portraying others with one category, we stereotype others into one stereotypical category. Actually, at the same time, we defend our position. We are the one who is stereotyping, and those we are stereotyping, they stereotype. They are uh, they deserve this. By doing this, actually, you showcase your positions. You are the one who have only uh, the values and positions and rights that is, let's say, uh, admirable in comparison to those you stereotyped. So we defend our social positions. Preserving stereotypes actually we should discourage that, because that we preserve also inequality in positions in life. Lawrence Bloom, Lawrence Bloom, um, an American thinker, I admire him very much. I like his ideas. So he established that what is morally wrong about stereotypes is that, as I explained already, Walter Lippmann also said stereotypes or stereotyping others is just inaccurate. It has distorting influence on your cognition. And Lawrence Bloom, the um, it's a very important one, is that such cognitive distortions can lead people into moral distortions as well. So certainly there is a shift of space here. We have this implicit beliefs, we have this stereotypical knowledge in our head. We view groups or members of certain group in society more strongly with one stereotypical category. The shift from cognitive processes that are running out in our head to the social space that we translate into, for instance, regulations that is discriminatory, or the share of social position or actions that is backed by stereotypical knowledge. This, according to Lawrence Bloom, uh, it is worrying because it leads people into um, distortions on morality. So there's a moral distortions. The culture here is already in the second space, that is an act that is backed by stereotypical knowledge. So let me go on to the next slide. I would like to dip into why it is problematic to have stereotypes in a society, or why we should discourage that people should have least stereotypical knowledge in the uh, social life in the social life in the social life. I argue, informed by these two books by Robert Weyer, Stereotype Activations and Inhabitation, and from the from Hinton, um, Stereotype, Cognitive and Culture. These two books brings us to further our critical view on stereotype itself. Having stereotypes, these are not peculiar to Indonesia. These are practiced everywhere. This is global practices, meaning that it exists in every society at least, in my view. But the stereotypes that we build on in our head and portraying that and translate that into actions that is discriminatory or disadvantaging others, the marginalized, for instance, in society. If it is the character of stereotypes is these are unchecked. They are pernicious. They are pernicious. We do not realize them fully. We let it go without questioning it. Stereotypes working in this level, it is pernicious. It is working in a subtle way. So it recalls on us to be aware of that. Stereotypes are often implicated in discriminatory actions, as I already said, on the part of the majority group who stereotype the minority groups, and the acts of stereotype have been suggested to be at least partly responsible for undermining the performance of minority group members. So in a society, you have a dominant group, and you have minority groups. if the majority of the if the majority segment of society stereotype small members or minority groups in a certain way, which is um, leading those marginalized or those minority to be continuously undermined or marginalized, then um, what Robert Myers' conclusion is correct. The stereotypes is partly responsible for undermining the performance of minority group members. We have minority group members, uh, for instance, LGBTQ communities and and um, and groups that is uh, having certain weaknesses that is um, taken into strong um, um, social interpretations and putting them into a disadvantaged position. There's a group, for instance, in a patriarchal society, females are often stereotyped to uh, be good at um, doing homeworks, I mean home chores, while they are less given space into academia, for instance, or politics. I'm talking about minority groups as instances. While in Indonesian context, um, I tend to say that those East Indonesians moving to capital city to find jobs, they are coming from a society that is highly burdened with societal problems. They are minority in those places, and if they are stereotyped such way, their performance in society is also undermined. They somehow ended up uh, working like debt collectors. While in fact, if we get rid of stereotypes, viewing them in such way, they can be also given certain opportunities, such as uh, uh, they are also be given opportunities to continue their study or train them in certain skills that is beneficial for 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 um, for um, for the improvement of society. While in the video we see that they are they are recruited to be debt collectors. So stereotyping can lead a person being treated unfairly. So the shift from having stereotypical knowledge and translated those social attitude into action or regulations that undermine or subjugate members of minorities in society, then it is morally problematic. There's a moral distortion there because stereotype can lead to a person being treated unfairly as well. These two books unravels also uh, another aspect of stereotypes is that um, having stereotypical knowledge is is not only concerning complexities in individuals. It's not only about individual motivations that you just have these motivations to just view these people in certain way, or you have cognitive processing outcomes that lead you to say out these stereotypes words, but it's also to do with social norms, the hierarchical control in a society that regulate behaviors, norms, and knowledge circulation. They are also responsible in maintaining uh, certain practices of stereotypes in society. So social structure is also responsible in maintaining a society where individuals are practicing or stereotyping others in certain ways. So Hinton, for instance, says stereotypes are also social representations. It's also collectively held by the group through social interactions and communications, which is regulated in some ways by pressure uh, from top level structure of society, and through the way interactions in society is maintained with the norms introduced by the power structure. To be more concrete here is, for instance, East Indonesia, East Indonesians, they are coming to big cities on the island of Java, while we see the large spectrums of politics. There are not many from East Indonesia who are holding important high offices in Indonesian politics. Uh, Indonesian politics is still um, um, not yet fairly and equally shared, holding high important positions in politics of national state. This landscape of social structure and political formation that not yet giving opportunities to people from minorities, let's say East Indonesia. Uh, to, to say that the term minority is not a quantitative term. For instance, let's say South Africa, uh, the whites in South Africa, they are minorities, but they have more power in politics in the past to hold certain position in politics. So I'm talking about minorities in the sense that uh, they are minor in holding social and high political positions which are high and important. Some ministries and vice president or president or diplomats or uh, universities professors. So the landscape of social structure and political structure also complicit in maintaining the the flow of individuals practicing stereotyping in stereotyping others. Now we arrive at the last book by David J. Snyder. Um, this is a very important book actually in the discourse of stereotype, the psychology of stereotyping. David look at the content of stereotype. One of the content of stereotype is stigma. I hope I do not mispronounce this word. I don't know. It's stigma. I think the same as it's pronounced in Bahasa Indonesia. So stigma can be defined as an attribute, a label, a naming, or characteristic that when people have that, they have a social identity through having that attributes or characteristic, and that social identity is devalued, not welcome, or devalued in a particular context. So if you so let's say, for instance, in our society, people, Indonesian society, those who are lesbian or from those members of LGBTQ communities, they are stigmatized. They are not yet fully welcomed in society. Or people from East Indonesia who are highly stereotyped as as those with the characteristic of causing chaos, or people in East Indonesians coming to the island of Java, and they are highly stereotyped as those who are not potential to follow in keeping the harmony of the society. This is stereotypical knowledge. Um, then we cannot say they are stigmatized in such a way. Stigma is a content of stereotype as well. Well, I mentioning this example of stereotypical knowledge, simultaneously I reject this because it's very distorting, as I explained before. So this book actually echoes a very important moral message, is that that if we look at, if we are fully aware of we are being stereotypical, or we are stereotyping others, we can go further from that and see the actual responsible actors who somehow creating in the way this society is have is this society is this society exists, or this society we are having. So if we are fully aware, then we can discover further who are the actual responsible actors that somehow responsible in letting the practice of stereotypes or attributing others with certain traits is easily and not really unchecked when it is practiced. And because David want to say out that there are studies confirm that we are seem more inclined to blame or devalue people with the condition that we believe they somehow caused or could control. So if the conditions of those individuals we stereotype them, if those conditions are not their own creation, then we somehow stop there, that no, they are not the one we should blame, or they are not the one that we should embark our devaluing attitudes through our stereotyping. I do hope you all understand this. So as studies confirm that we are inclined to devalue others on things that they are in control of, or they at least caused, while if we look further, that stereotyping others with certain trait or characteristic, that if we take a closer examinations or scrutiny, and we uncover that they are just as the interview in video said, they are somehow marginalized. They are coming from a marginalized society. They are coming from the forgotten society, let's say like that. So we might stop our stereotypical views and then look out through this window a new view toward the people and embracing them, and then welcoming them, and through them we build society we all desire. I'm sorry, it is not, it cannot be read. I think it's quite small. I would like to reflect on East Indonesia. I've talked much already about stereotypes, and this is time to take uh, all the exploration so far, all the exposition so far into context. I start with the video as the starting point. I end with the same tone. So, what led East Indonesian migrating to big cities, to the big cities of Indonesia, like in Jakarta, Surabaya, or big cities mainly on the island of Java, are, in my view, are the social problems at home: lack of education, poverty, corruption, and unemployment. So, East Indonesians migrating to big cities, they do this precisely because their initial society do not provide or offer much for them to stay in the region they belong. So they are coming from a society that is having a lot of uh, um, or lack of positive or fruitful opportunities for them to develop and grow. If if educations, unemployment, and the provisions of basic service to citizens are the duty of the government to fulfill, and the duty to fulfill the this I'm talking I just generate the first point I mentioned is that if politics is highly colored with the rampant practice of corruptions, then the government duty to provide good educations, provide job opportunities, provide them that basic needs they need, will be certainly 100% in peril, in unpromising state, because um, because the budget that is located to improve those problems that is which are causing those people from Indonesia to migrate to the big cities is uh, embezzled for private use. One thing which I also think that why corruption in Indonesia is preserved somehow, not only um, that as I mentioned, that corruptions worsen the situations of the people, but then the society is that is created through these landscapes that society that tolerate corruptions. So the political culture filled with corruptions somehow, in some ways, um, corner people into living a destitute life, living a life of difficulties, and living of living of life full of difficulties due to um, bad performance of the government, that they didn't take care of the people. Then the degree of enthusiasm from the people themselves to questioning the government is somehow weakened. First is that they are not well trained to raise um, social justice questions due to the lack of education that is um, not fully provided for them, because uh, because the provisions of good educations and all the resources allocated for this is somehow cut in the bad practices of managing public money to improve a society. So civic engagement become weak in a society of a failed government. This is a satanic cycle of society. So you have the government corrupt the public money, which is supposed to be using to improve the lives of the people. Good education, providing them with good education, providing them jobs that they can earn money to improve their lives. But then the society is weakened in these three basic uh, services. They somehow weaken in a way that they do not have energy and capacity to question the government in return. So people turn into a indifferent mode of life because they are fed up, but also they are not well equipped to critically question the government, which is in some ways acquired through a good education that had been weakened by the rampant corruptions. So, if the people, such as the ones my fellow Instagrams in the YouTube videos, uh, by Vice, if these people in this video if they are victims of a society that maintained the practice of stereotyping, or maintained uh, a stereotypical knowledge that is strongly preserved and characterize Eastern Indonesians in one category of stereotypical knowledge, that lead that practice into concrete discriminatory uh, actions, such as the unequal share of positions in society, and in share of jobs, what kind of jobs fitting these people. If they are victims of stereotypes, then the exploration so far could tell us three things. First, they are the ones who are indiscriminately exploited because they are at the vulnerable positions. They are coming from regions which have acute societal problems, and they have been the result of a one-sided focus of a national development. And what, in my view, more aggravating is that the national state seems to tolerate regional corruptions in East Indonesia. The national state seems to um, have the attitude of letting it go without questioning. So these people are indiscriminately exploited, um, and with stereotypical knowledge built in hidden cognitive processes, translated into uh, fitting them into the jobs that risky job, like collecting the debt, securing the security in front of shops or banks. Then they are the ones there. Then these people are indiscriminately exploited because they are coming from vulnerable positions, from the regions that are having acute societal problems. Second, these people are not to be blamed. Rather, through whom or through them we see a social conditions that warrant radical change. Do not blame these people who created chaos in a society, in or do not single-handedly blame them, but try to have an inquisitive view, trying to discover what are the network of problems that create this very fact that is we are facing together. They are perhaps the product of a development that's one-sided. They are the product of the society that is uh, that is in somehow marginalized, because there aren't luxurious opportunities that are given to them, or good opportunities that are given to them to develop and grow. So through them we see uh, a justification for a radical change, that we work together as Indonesians to improve Eastern Indonesia. Second, we end up in a point, the positive one is to find ways to fight for social change through empowering East Indonesians with high quality educations. Not for instance, but it has to. And empowering them to have direct involvement in shaping a good politics that have also views towards their fellows in East Indonesia, and giving them opportunity to good education or good training so that they can go back to the regions to shape the regions for the good improvement. So give them trust to hold certain admirable societal positions in life. For instance, giving the Papuans to hold important positions in society, educate them and trust them. They're also good um, uh, at intellectualism, for instance. They are also good at school, good at math and science, and give those who are minorities in society that is not fully equally shared in holding positions in politics and social. Give them trust to hold certain positions in society. And the way to do that is to opens up larger, or open up more opportunities for them to grow and to grow and to develop. So I desire to see a society, as shown in the video. East Indonesians are recruited to be debt collectors, to provide, to be working as uh, security guardians in front of shops, um, or let's say, I don't know, or to be members of or to be members of let's say um, the in the domain of premanism, for instance. I don't know whether it's an English word, or I tend to not to use the word thug, or group organization that involves violence and 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 behaviors that uh, disrupt the stability and the the harmony of society. So if we abandon our stereotypical views that we associate strongly toward certain groups of society, then there's a change which I expect the change to happen. And in those three items I have laid out, perhaps is what I'm hoping that it could change in that way. So to recap, those people you stereotype, do not blame them. If they create chaos and disruptions, do not blame them. They are, but try to have an inquisitive attitude. Perhaps they are also victims of society that do not offer them good opportunities to develop and grow. Secondly, do not at all use a stereotypical knowledge in producing a regulations, or in power sharing, in allocating opportunities in opportunities in social life. And through them, they are the mirror of society that warrant radical change. To in case of Indonesia, it is to help them, empowering this government to be less corrupt, to provide to help a good governance that provide good uh, opportunities for the citizens to develop, to grow, and to live a high quality life, or good quality of life, to have good educations, to have their basic needs met, to have jobs that they can earn money to empower their family. And these are what I'm thinking about as the final point of this lecture. Thank you very much for your attention, guys, and see you next time. I'm very tired. It's already almost 1 year. Sorry, 1 hour and a half. I don't know how long it has been already. The next topic, I would like to investigate Indonesian political culture. I would like to raise this question: how far we deviate from, how far we have been deviating, or we have deviated from the ideals of constitutional order and a reformed democracy. I will be looking at specifically on the performance of uh, the current government Jokowi throughout his 2 terms, in terms of upholding the ideals of democracy and commitment to uphold the rule of law. See you in the next video, and thank you very much. And I'm very tired.